What's up, everyone? I've been getting back into making regular content recently, and over the past couple of weeks, I've had several people reach out to me asking what I'm up to these days. It made me reflect a little bit on where I am, where I was, and where I'm going. And I felt like I owed everyone a little bit of context that I wasn't able to provide originally when I ceased work on the YouTube channel Dota Alchemy, which is obviously now rebranded to Pro Guides Dota 2. It's been almost 6 months since I turned off the lights on a project that I put every waking minute of my life into for about 3 straight years. And honestly, the transfer of the channel to Pro Guides and dissolution of everything Dota Alchemy related was done with quite a bit of relief on my part. When I initially got into gaming and esports and content creation, I did so because number one, I loved gaming, obviously, and number two, I wanted to help make the space better. Over the course of building first Pugna's YouTube channel and helping that company out, and then Dota Alchemy, I learned a lot, and it was nice to see my passion rewarded with tangible progress in the form of growth and eventually being able to support myself through YouTube. One of the main issues with creativity, however, is that it comes and goes, but the demand for your creative work, if it's good, does not. And Dota is a game that already taxes your creativity just to play it, which makes creating good Dota content even more difficult. I began to really feel a strain of trying to come up with good ideas, manage Dota Alchemy as a community, and also continue to improve at the game, which was an area in particular that caused me a lot of stress. I've always been a bit of a perfectionist, and the fact that I was not as high rated as some other players, or doing as many views, or editing as well, or creating eye catching thumbnails, or whatever else goes into creating a good YouTube channel, all of those things weighed very heavily on me, and probably heavier than they should have, to be honest. I felt like I needed to find extra supporting evidence for everything that I said and come up with fresher ideas than everyone else. And all of this made my creative process much longer and more stressful than just turning on the camera and speaking the way that many other experts do. And to be clear, this is not to knock someone like BSJ who can just kind of pop off on stream and make videos that bring a huge amount of value to his audience just from those clips. Ultimately, it's never a good sign when you start second guessing things that make you excited to create because financially the decision just doesn't seem that optimal. So, there's only so many tier lists that you can make, especially when the game's not really changing that much, that are really going to hold not only my attention to create them, but also the viewers as well. Any ambitious person will tell you that time is the single most important resource available to you in life. And I was really starting to feel this inexorable crush of not having enough time. I would wake up early, go to sleep late, and still most of my days, I would finish them feeling like I didn't get enough done. Obviously, that is just kind of disappointing. It's a very disappointing way to live. And I was constantly ending up short of my goals or either getting better at the game or putting out content that was good or expanding my knowledge or life skills or spending time with my wife and dogs or even just taking care of myself through exercise and diet and meditation and things like that. Most days I was lucky enough to get enough of these areas done where I would feel somewhat fulfilled, but never enough to where I'd really go to sleep feeling content at the end of the day. It also didn't really help that I was trying to function on two different schedules at the same time. I like to personally get up early, work hard in the morning, and then do other things in the afternoon and kind of, gradually wind down over the course of the day. However, to run a collaborative style of content with Jenkins, who is basically a nocturnal human being, like many high-level Dota players. I mean, that's when the best games are. That's when everybody's on. So again, this is not to criticize him, but he's literally nocturnal and I am not. And so this ended up with me having a very inconsistent routine, and that majorly affected my productivity and thus mentality. Everything became a chore over the course of Dota Alchemy, and I stopped having fun playing, and this meant I stopped having fun creating and interacting with Jenkins and the community as well. And I think this kind of started to show towards the end in our replay review streams and just content in general. I was stuck though, because in addition to now being my full-time job, it was also the way that Jenkins paid his rent. And so my lack of motivation had negative impact not only on me, but also on someone else as well. And that's kind of doubling down on not being a very good feeling. Something that I really enjoyed doing initially had morphed into basically a desperate operation of treading water and staying above a view and Patreon threshold where paying bills was sustainable but there wasn't a ton of actual growth going on. We felt kind of stuck and stagnant, myself especially in particular. All of this was really basically just kind of starting to feel like the beginning of an impending doom of, what if Dota really starts to decline? What do I have to show for all this work? What if everything gets burnt to the ground in a couple of years? And I always knew that I wanted to do more than just create Dota content anyway. So, that was weighing on me as well, but at the moment I couldn't. And so the quality of my life was really just kind of degenerating in general, and I had to pull the plug. So I did. And the morning that I woke up after transferring administrative power over the Dota Alchemy YouTube channel officially was honestly one of the most peaceful mornings I've had in a very long time. And that made me know for sure that the decision had been a right one. So what did I do after that? I mean, I basically spent the next couple of months untangling myself from a series of bad habits that had been associated with running the channel and grinding out content and trying to get myself on a schedule that felt like was sustainable for my health and well-being. And I also did a bit of streaming for pro guides to try and help them build out their on-site content library. It wasn't quite the clean cut that I had initially been looking for from creating Dota content, but it also helped pay the bills and didn't require nearly the same level of stress or time investment or emotional investment in particular that running the channel had. Finally, I had enough time to think and reflect on things a little bit and figure out what was next. So, what is next after all? Hopefully, a lot of things. After some time away, I have really realized that I genuinely love making content. I really, really, really like the creative process and editing and everything that goes into it, as long as it's something that I'm personally passionate about at the time. I spent a couple of months basically just kind of being a potato, just playing video games and hanging out, going outside, literally doing nothing some afternoons. And after a while, I got old, so I dove back into kind of learning more about content creation and diving deeper into editing and cinematography and sound design and stuff that makes a good video experience, a good viewer experience, and really kind of takes content to that next level. And I found myself kind of with a renewed fire and wanting to create stuff and try out things that I'd learned. So, that is kind of what I want to do, I think. And I find myself dabbling in Dota from time to time, but with a completely different and likely much healthier approach and outlook on the game. I still love the competitive and creative aspects of the game. And so I've recently kind of put some of that into practice through writing for Dota Buff and Track Dota. And also I've been working a bit with a EU stack to try and coach them and work on drafting and strategy and stuff like that as well, which has been pretty rewarding. And that is sort of where Dota is for me at the moment. If I do any more Dota content, it will probably be found on this channel, which is on screen now and linked down in the description below, called Duality Dota, where I like to just kind of experiment with builds and editing techniques and stuff like that. So if you want more Dota content, you can check that out. I also have some ambitions of launching a channel to cover the DPC in some sort of journalistic or analytical capacity, but we'll have to see, first of all, whether the DPC comes out in a realistic state, and also how many kind of balls I can juggle at the same time. But, since I'm already kind of doing some of this coverage for Dota Buff and Track Dota, it might naturally kind of progress in that direction anyway. Also, more recently, I've become a lot more invested and interested in Riot's new game, Valorant. And while that might sound a little bit blasphemous, I still promise I have never opened up League of Legends, and I probably never will. Dota is the MOBA for me, but Valorant in particular has been very, very interesting and very, very fun. I've been doing some casting there. I've been producing educational content, which is kind of more in the line of the stuff that I used to do for Dota Alchemy. And so if you're interested in Valorant, or you play it, or you want to learn a little bit more about it, you can check out that content on this channel. You're noticing a bunch of channels coming out. And the fact of the matter is that I have about 3 or 4 more channels in the works that I plan on producing content for, and have found that sort of having all these different outlets for my creative freedom and just the ability to not really try and pigeonhole myself into one particular type of content has excited me a lot. And it's kind of given me a bit more lightness to the the work, and it allows me to kind of work on whatever project I feel like makes the most sense at the time. So that's sort of where I'm at. Right now, it's mostly Valorant content. But I also wanted to address this channel because obviously there's people who are watching here, and I appreciate you guys for tuning in. This channel, I would really like to kind of be my personal channel where I can express my thoughts, like in this video, or about, how Dota is doing, or how esports is developing, or whatever else. And it could be something like the state of esports or content creation, or it might be something like snowboarding or competitive psychology or something else. I've always kind of wanted just sort of like a forum where I can just kind of be me and put my thoughts out there as well. So that is what this channel will likely kind of morph into. And so if that interests you, I appreciate you for watching. Finally, I just want to express my gratitude to anyone that is still watching this or who has reached out over the last couple of weeks and given me positive affirmation, or, not even over the last couple of weeks, but over the last few years. I really, really do appreciate the support that I've gotten from the community over this time. And I really didn't really know what I was doing when I jumped into the content grind. I just kind of was like, oh, hey, people should probably be making educational content about Dota, so I guess I'm going to do that. Nobody else is. And so it's just been kind of an interesting journey. And I think that I'm starting to kind of find the path that I want to go down now. But all of that has been really supported by people, reaching out and telling me that I'm doing a job. So I appreciate that. And appreciate you guys. So thanks for watching. That's what's going on right now. That's what happened with Dota Alchemy. And hopefully that answers some of your questions. If you have any about any of this or anything in the future, feel free to leave them down below, and I will respond to as many comments as I possibly can. All right, we'll see you next time I decide to make a video on this channel or one of my other channels, and we'll see you next time. See you later, guys.